Hi everyone, James Mansfield here bringing you yet another video. Oh my god, this is a brand new series I wanted to do today. It's sort of celebrating Barbie core, alright? So I wanted to recreate some like life-size Barbie outfits for myself. And I want to start with my very favorite vintage Barbie outfit, the Solo in the Spotlight. Ding! We can't really see it from this doll, but right here, we'll put a picture there. Ding! Yes, it is this gorgeous black sequin mermaid gown with black gloves, and she did have a pink scarf, but it's since gone missing. You can see the picture. It's a little pink scarf. But I'm excited to make this, and I am going to challenge myself today and do something a little different with it, because as you can see, the outfit in itself is kind of just a simple shift dress. Like, it's nothing really fancy about it. It's more the fabric choice that makes it cool. So I decided I'm going to do like a 1950s reimagining of it in like my signature Jaymes silhouette. So I have my pattern here, and we're going to be doing like the last of the drag race fabric that I have taken. So let's go through it. I have this great like black velvety kind of material. And for the overlay, because it has to be sequined, I found this in the workroom as well. It is this great like liquid sequins that I'm going to put over it as the overlay. And it's going to look really cute together, I think. Like, check out. I think it's going to be really pretty. So that's what we're going to do today. And we're going to make this look. All right, let's do it. So let's get started. First things first, we have to do our interfacing. Now, I do stuffed breasts, so I'm going to basically make a bustier and then stuff the breasts so that they're, fully formed, the costume can slip on and boobs are already built in. It's an old drag trick I learned from Charles Pierce. He used to do this a lot, where it was just like, you put the dress on, the boobs are already in, you don't have to worry, you just go with it, okay? So, interfacing. Now, I picked the thinnest one possible because this is going to be 3 layers, okay? So, interfacing, as well as the fashion fabric over it, and then our overlay fabric. So, it's already going to be super stiff. So, I don't want it to be too like, hard. Otherwise, it's going to look really funny when I actually sew it together. Now, I'm super excited. This dress actually has a long history of reproductions. It's been redone and re-released so many times. This one actually is a reproduction. I have a vintage in a bag in my closet, out of storage, out of sunlight, because it's really fragile. Like, this material over time would start to fray away. And if you look at it, like, all the boobs are like shedded away from it on like the vintage ones. They get really rough. So I have mine tucked away in storage where it just lays flat and I don't have to worry about it like chipping away. So here we go. Now, this look is supposed to be like a 1950s like siren, like a singer kind of look, which I love, okay? Like, it is so sexy, so vampy, and so cute. And honestly, as you already know, I love me a mermaid gown. It doesn't take me much to want to wear one. So here's what we're gonna do. This pattern was actually a bullet bra bustier pattern that my friend Justin made for me. He kind of Frankenstein together a bustier pattern he got from Etsy with a simple like sheath kind of pattern for the skirt. Just something I can make for myself, like quick dresses I can do for, my YouTube videos that I wear, because I don't want to spend a whole lot of money having to buy new dresses all the time. I learned quickly that buying modern vintage dresses is really expensive. Girl, like, I was breaking my bank doing that. Like, it's really hard to do that, especially if they pump out videos so quickly. It's like, come on now. So, cutting out our interfacing. And basically, this is your little layer that creates like a nice hardened pattern to the dress, like a stiffness. Because if you look at the fabrics I picked, they're very flimsy. So this is going to make it nice and sturdy. Alright, so there's our boobs. Only need 2 of those. And we need our little bullet bra bottom. And I have to cut 4 of these. So, interfacing! If any of you guys have any techniques or tricks for interfacing, let me know, because what always gets me about it is it just takes so long, but it's such a necessary evil to do, especially for vintage clothing. Everything has an interfacing. Like, there is no way around it. If you want that 1950s look, the stiffness and like the shapeliness of it, you gotta have interfacing. Little history behind the dress. It was actually released in 1961. This is like a clothing pack you could buy for like $3. When you think about it, like, Barbie itself was $3, so her outfit was as much as the doll. Sometimes even more, because like they used real fabrics. If you look at like the movie dolls they released, how they're like $50 a pop, it's because they're using real fabrics. That's what like makes the markup on the dolls so expensive. Like, it's not synthetic fabrics that they put together with cheap materials. It's full-on real fabrics that were cut out, sewn together with zippers. Like the original Solo in the Spotlight has a zipper. Because if you look at this, it's very like Rita Hayworth and Gilda. It's really cute. But like I said, it's kind of simple, so we're gonna like amplify this a little more, make it a little more drag. And I ordered tulle, so I'm not gonna like sew tulle because honestly, it would kill me. They make black tutus, so we're gonna attach tutus to the bottom of the dress. And I gotta find a rosette still, which it'll be easy. I'll just take my ass to Michael's and find one. All right, so I cut out the rest of this interfacing. It's pretty cut and dry. I'll come back when it's time to iron it on. So we're gonna cut out the rest of this interfacing and I'll be right back. Okay, step 2. I have everything all cut out for the interfacing. Now it's time to basically put down our middle layer. And I'm going to basically iron this on. And I'm making sure I put a towel down because this fabric actually has like ink in it still. And I actually stained my carpet in the last place a little bit. And I spent a good hour when I moved out scrubbing that carpet clean. So I'm not making that same mistake again, okay? No ma'am. So let's make sure this is touching the towel. And any ink that transfers over is gonna transfer onto that. All right, so let's lay our pieces. And I have so much of this fabric that I'm just kind of going to be liberal with it. I don't really care about using up too much. Because again, it was free fabric, so I don't really care. But we're just going to start with a little patch like that. And let's iron it on. Hold on, make sure I got the right stretch going. Yeah, let's actually rearrange and make sure we get the stretchy part. Because once I add on the sequins, a lot of the stretch is going to go away. So I at least want to have a little bit for it to fight with. So here we go. All right. Because as you know, I need stretch fabric. I'm not afraid to admit that. Let's do this. Get a piece and just iron it on. Okay, it's heating up, but it's not steaming. Oh my God. There's no water in it. Pause. Gotta put water in the iron. Be right back. All right, take 2. Here we go. Water's in the iron now. My God, that's embarrassing. But that's what we wanted. We want it to steam out and steam down. That's gonna activate the adhesive on the interfacing. I'm gonna do my best to try and mirror pieces, but we'll see what happens. Now, the big mistake I made with ironing on interfacing is like, before I started doing it on my floor, which I bet you're wondering, like, James, why aren't you using a table? Well, I just moved in this place, so the sewing room's not completely set up yet, but I must make content, all right? Like, I wanted to do this so badly, and it's like, if I don't start it, it's never gonna happen. So I'm just doing it, okay? We're making it happen. I wanted to do this really badly, and now we're doing it. So, down the line, we'll probably have a table, but we're getting there, okay? This is the first time I've actually had a sewing room, so it's super exciting. My sewing/wig studio. Yeah, the house is not completely set up just yet. But we're gonna make videos anyway. Because that's what we do. Alright, let's move it around. Oh yeah, but the big mistake I made with interfacing was when I ironed it on, I actually ironed it on my cutting board. And it created this big like, bubble warp on the board, and it's really heinous. I actually have the old one hiding back there in shame. Because it's still a good board. It's just, I don't want to throw it away, you know? I can still use it. I'm turning it into a pack rat. That's what's happening here. But yeah, it's pretty simple. Just taking them and ironing them on. Using the steam to activate that adhesive. Pretty easy. Now, I have to iron the rest of these on, and we'll jump back. Alrighty, now I have the interfacing parts all cut out. Like, that's how it looks with the fabric. Let's do one more so I can do it on camera for you folks. It's super simple, just the rotary cutter. I am team rotary cutter because I just feel like you get more precise with it. And with this, I want it to be as close to my skin as possible, like second skin kind of dress. So that's what we're doing. Alright, that's super simple. Alright. It's not too perfect because again I'm a hem it and everything, so it's gonna be different. I know what to do already. Alright, so that piece is cut. That fabric is done for now. We're not doing the skirt yet. The skirt's super simple, but we'll get to that bridge when we'll cross that bridge when we have to. So let's pull out our sequins. Yes, I cannot wait to ruin this floor with sequins. So let's do this. Here we go. Let me just find a good spot for it. What's weird about this sequin fabric is like it's kind of stitched together. Like you look at that, it's like a weird seam in the bottom, like through it. Like it's not all one long piece. Like they kind of Franken-stitched it together. Let me just find the end, put it right there, and just pull our pieces. And literally just like, I gotta make sure it's the back, not in the front like that. Make sure it's facing the back. Now I'm just gonna cut it out like so. Lay our pieces down and create little second pieces. And this is where the pins come in. These little yellow pins from Walmart are the shit, okay? Like, I don't know what it is, like, these cheap-ass little yellow pins just work. Like, I never have a problem with them. Like, they don't bust on me. I've spent lots of money on, like, expensive, nice pins from Joann's, but these little yellow head Walmart ones, Old Faithfuls, I'm telling you. Like, can't ever go wrong. Alright. Now, I'm probably going to have to change out my blade soon, because sequins always ruins the blade. Oh yeah, it's not even going through. Oh, I don't have... It's not... I forgot to open it. Oh no. Oh my gosh. Okay. Let's try that again. There we go. That's the kind of cut I wanted on the first take. Yes! That is sexy! And now I just have to do that like 8 more times. That's essentially what we want our piece to look like for our bustier, and we're gonna piece it all together. Look at that sequins, that shine. Sexy. All right, I'm gonna cut the rest out. You get what I'm doing here. Be back so we can sew, because sewing is the exciting part. So, be back when we're sewing. All right, all of our pieces are cut out for the bustier. Like, check it out. It's so pretty. It's sparkly. I love it. Ugh. All right. So, I'm gonna start basically putting the pieces together and being careful to, like, line them up so that the, like, lining matches up. So, like, the worst thing to happen is, like, when you start to put it together and you start to sew it and it's not, like, really, really in there, the lining will buckle out and it'll show and it looks really tacky and bad. The goal here is to make it not look homemade. Like, just take your time and make sure everything is lining up perfectly, or at least as perfect as you can get it. And with the sequins, it tends to stick to itself, so just be mindful of that too. But this is really, really light sequins, so I'm not too worried about, like, fucking up my machine, because I've broken 2 sewing machines now from sewing sequins. So I'm, you know, playing with fire right now, but again, like, this is very, very small, little teeny tiny sequins, so we should be fine. We're not dealing in, like, big old paillettes or anything. Okay, so I just got a little bit of the bust here. That's the under bust. You can't really see it because it's pinned together, but that's gonna be the bottom part of the tit. All right. This I will pin together after that's sewn, but we'll put those together because that's a bra cup. We'll just keep it going. Just align them. Like I said, like, at tedium, you know, just making sure everything is aligned, because if it's not, it's gonna look bad. It's gonna pucker, it's gonna look really tacky. But sewing, like, you know, something with an overlay is not challenging. It's just, you know, being mindful of your details, you know? Making sure everything looks as close as possible. Like I said, the sequins will stick to itself and it'll be a pain in the ass. But it's gonna look gorgeous. It's gonna be beautiful, okay? Like, just wait. She is gonna be so sickening. Like, I'm already excited just, like, looking at it cut out right now. Like, I already imagine what it's gonna be. Now, I could have easily gotten, like, you know, that stretch velvet sequins that, like, every drag queen uses now. But I want to challenge myself a little bit. Like, this is the fabric I had. I feel like going to the fabric store and buying, you know, the easy stuff. We're doing a challenge today, okay? And this is how they would have done it in the 60s, okay? They didn't have pre-sequin fabric like that. All right, it's that there, other bra cup there. Let's piece together this bustier. Okay, that's one piece. That is the back piece. Okay, where's our other little bralette cup? Okay, sweet. How are we doing this? It's always like putting a puzzle together for me. Okay, that's the sides. That's the front. The little narrow part's the front. And then our bra cups will go there. Then our side panels match up with that. Like so. And then this is our back where our zip's gonna go there. Move that a little bit. But no, this is like your standard bustier pattern. Like, you can find something like this on Etsy and just, that's the fun thing about patterns. You can, like, take them apart and piece them together and create, like, you know, a Frankenstein piece. That's what Justin did for me with this. And maybe if you pay him or you're really, really nice and ask him nicely, maybe he'll make you one. Who knows? Commission him. That's what I had to do. Okay. So, I just have to pin all these together. And we have our bustier going. So like I said, you just gotta be really, really careful and cautious to make sure everything is lined up. Because if it's not, it's gonna look like shit. And people are gonna point it out. They're gonna say, what's that puckering on your dress? And you're gonna say, I'm sorry, I made it myself. You don't want that. So, here we go. And I'm using these bigger pins, not by choice, it's just because it's what I have left. I used up all my little yellow pins. I need to like Instacart some more, but it's fine. I've worked with these a lot. Use smaller pins if you can, if you're like more of a beginner sewer, honestly. But I've done this a lot, so I already know how to work around it. I'm not afraid. So I'm gonna start with those pieces, and essentially you just pin together and piece it all together. But we will get to the sewing next. So let's pin this together and sew this bitch. All right, day 2. Normally it wouldn't take me this long to do a dress, but I'm still moving, so it is what it is. I'm working on this while I can. So what we're gonna do here is the skirt pattern. This is the skirt back, basic skirt pattern. Like if you use a silver pattern, you'll probably get this. I think all Justin really did differently was he added a little bump in the back for where my hip pads go for the butt. That's about it. But just gonna make sure I dart it there. So there with a little chalk. And this skirt, when you look at the Barbie, it's a little longer. So I have to extend it probably a little bit to make it like a little bit below the knee. And if you like lift it up, it actually extends even lower than that. Like it goes all the way down to like almost a maxi. But the tulle covers it. We're not doing all that, but it's an idea. Shall I decide I want to take the tulle off? I remember when Unique Vintage recreated this dress, that's actually how it was done. Like you could take the tulle off if you didn't want it and just have like a basic sequin dress. Alright, so here we go. Just cut it out. The back one I cut 2 because we have to put a zip in. One thing about skirts that always troubles me is like whenever I have to like attach it to the bodice, it used to always really bother me because it's really hard for me to like match it up. So like it's really important that you cut as close to your pattern as possible and just make sure you're like really intricate in that regard. I'm not a huge fan of this velvet fabric, just to let you know that right now, like sewing on it, it moves around a lot. So hopefully like putting the like layer over it will help keep it still. We'll see. Only time will tell. This just reminds me of like when I first started doing drag and I was doing like sewing in my bedroom, my parents' house. Work! Alright, that's our 2 pieces. And yeah, that's it. I'm going to keep that here. I'm going to keep it pinned for reference because I want to make sure the length is consistent. So, the other side of my pattern. This one you cut on a fold. Basic skirt pattern, like I said, like a sloper pattern will give you this basic skirt pattern. All you gotta do is like measure yourself with your hip pads and stuff and like you'll get your shape. I highly recommend doing like a sloper because it's basically what they call a shell dress, where you make a pattern based on your measurements. You can alter it. And they give you like bust measurements and stuff. Because most of these patterns, when it comes to like bust measurements, they're not really consistent, especially like plus sizes. Because I learned this recently, back in the day when patterns were designed, apparently when they were doing measurements, they were only measuring like really, really fit women, like women that were in the army and stuff like that, that exercised a lot. So their bodies were muscular. So the measurements didn't make sense. Like it didn't take into account like women with bigger hips or women with bigger breasts. I always thought that was really fascinating. So when you like make a pattern from like a store-bought pattern based on these old school measurements that are like been the standard of measuring for all time, you wonder why it fits funny. And there's usually no boob room. It's always like a B cup at best. That's why. Okay, so this one, just pin it. And I kept the skirt here that I'm put over here for reference for length. And it's really simple. I just cut it out and then I cut out the lining fabric so that we have a skirt. Really simple. Like I said, the skirt's the easiest part to cut out. It's literally just pin it on and just go for it. Now I'm going to get all this cut out and I'll be right back and we'll actually start sewing. We're gonna sew, all right? Be right back. All right, it's time to finally start sewing. So one thing I did that I was like learning as I go because I like reteach myself how to apply like, you know, a front part of this. So yeah, I basically had to reteach myself how to attach this to our fashion fabric, the front part of this. So what I did was I called my friend Justin and he told me you could use your serger. And I'm gonna be completely real with y'all. My serger is one of the needles broke when I was sewing on sequins. Don't recommend doing that. So, you know, full disclosure, I don't know how to change the serger needles and I did not have time to teach myself how to change them because it's not the same as these. And I wanted to get started, so we're doing what we call, you know, the poor man's serger. We did a zigzag stitch all around it to keep it on. So let me show you on this actually, just to give you an example. Take a pin out. Super easy. So I put the zigzag stitch over the overlay fabric to keep it all in place. Otherwise the overlay is going to start to like buckle around places and start to pucker up and it's going to look really gross. It's just supposed to lay flat and look pretty. So I'll just show you a little example. Like, I'm not really too worried about backstitching or anything like that. It's just to keep the fabric still. That way it doesn't shift around and create buckles or anything like that or pucker. All right. Now let's start sewing. Now what I did for that was I basically did that to all around the skirt parts because the skirts are the biggest pieces. So anytime you do really big pieces and you have an overlay fabric, it's like gonna start to go everywhere and it could look really, really gross really quickly if you're kind of like messy with it. The only downside is you have to use all your pins. Like I used every single freaking pin I have in the middle, on the sides, just to make sure everything stayed still. It's frustrating. I don't know why I picked this as my first project, but I want to challenge myself, and challenge I have been. So those are all attached. The overlays are all put together now. We can actually start stitching this together. So we're going to start with the bustier, which is probably the most intimate part of this. Like the bustier looks weird, everything's off. So I used as we say in the industry, fuck ton of pins to put everything together. I'm probably going to add another one here at the tippy tip, because this is the tip of the bra. It gives that point. Okay, so let's feed that through. I'm going to switch to a straight stitch. I don't need a zigzag for this, because it doesn't stretch. Zigzags for like stretch fabrics. And besides, after I put the overlay on, it's not going to stretch anymore. Like, it is what it is. I'm going real slow because I've broken plenty of needles by hitting these pins. Now you could do like the proper way and pick the pins out as you go, but I'm lazy. Don't be like me, guys. Gorgeous! That's our undercup. Our overcup, I've already done my due diligence of putting that together because I learned my lesson. Here's how the cup's supposed to look. It's like a cooking channel now. This is how it's supposed to look. And when I didn't do this, it started to like ride up and go like all over the place, so it is what it is. We're having a little smaller breasts, which is fine, you know. Variety is the spice of life. All right, so let's pin this together. Points, lining, and pin the shit out of it again. And what I'm going to try and make sure I do is make sure it all aligns properly as much as possible. This one I recommend going slow on because you have to like do curves and stuff. All right, stop, lift, tilt. The lift and tilt. Lift, tilt. Cool. Let's see how she looks. Nice. She's looking pretty. Is that our bra cup? Yes, that's a bra cup. That's how she's supposed to look. Little bullet bra moment. Again, the stuffer in it. It's gonna be like that. It'll be cute. All right, let's do the bustier. Now this I just pinned together. Again, like I'm not gonna be too rigid about making sure the overlay is like connected because it's all straights going down. So this is the bustier all pinned together. It looks like a big mess right now, but it's gonna be pretty, okay, I promise you. So all I can recommend with this that I've learned from doing this so far is go slow. Like, don't rush. The second you rush is the second you make a mistake. So I'm going to start anywhere and just do my straight stitches going down. Before I continue, I have to say, big shout out to Singer. They sent me this quantum stylus after my last machine crapped out on me. Thank you guys so much because honestly, this has been great. It's like butter sewing, okay? Like, I'm loving it so far. Like, yes. It is chewing through these sequins right now, which I love because I sew a lot of sequins in my line of work. And the run-of-the-mill store models you can buy at Joann's, just, they don't power through it. Like, I think I made like 5 dresses before the machine eventually crapped out on me. Whereas this one, I'm excited. I'm gonna put you to work. One thing I've learned is like following the inch allowances on here because I've made a couple of these dresses now in this pattern, and what I've learned, my mistake I always make is I always give it way too much seam allowance when it doesn't need it. Like I'm always making it like a size 18 when it needs to be a 16. So I'm not going to be so modest. I'm going to make sure she fits tight. Like it's a super quick pattern. Like once you get the hang of doing a pattern, you'll just whip through it right away. Like I've made this one at least like 6 times now, so it's like second nature to me. Okay, here we are. This is the bustier part. Yes. Cute, right? I have to install the cups, so let's do that. I think I'm just gonna hem all this with a zigzag just to make sure it stays still. So I'm gonna do that real quick and I'll be right back and we'll install the cup. All right, it's time to install the bra cup. So I got my cup here. I already did one on camera, the funky one. That's how she looks installed, so it's cute. Now, what I do here is the little two-section part. That's the part that we connect here with the seam here. And like I said, it got a little funky, so now I just use my thumb to measure that. So it's about 1 inch. So I'm gonna go about 1 inch in. And we just pin all around this bastard to make sure it is in. And a pin just dropped close to my crotch, which is the danger zone. The worst place you want a pin to go. Now, I wish I had a better gauge on how to do this with an overlay. I've never done this with an overlay before. I usually use, like, you know, a solid fabric. So the fact that this is, like, gonna be going everywhere, it's exciting. That's the word we'll use. It's exciting, okay? It's not frightening and it's not stressful. It's exciting. Thrilling. Love it. Love life. I'm Michelle McCool and I'm loving life. If any of you guys have tips for using overlay fabric, let me know. Because, like, I know a bit about sewing. I don't claim to be an expert. I just know what I've picked up over the years. I'm sure there's plenty of things people that like sew all the time or like professional sewers are going to look at and say, oh my God. But you know what? That's why I'm here because, you know, I'm just here living life, trying to make pretty dread costumes for you guys here on YouTube. The things I do. All right, here we go. I feel like it's going to work. It's going to work. It's going to be great. It's going to work. You're going to go right here where I tell you to go. Okay? Stop fighting. Just get sewn together. All right. Now, it's pinned in, and the bra cups look like they kind of match, so that's good. We're doing pretty good. So far, so good. And this is the most stressful part of the whole thing, is making sure the bustier is right. So as long as this goes well, I feel like, you know, we'll be on easy street. And don't stab yourself in the fingers. This is the face you make whenever you're sewing a bra cup. Ow! Things I do to look like you, Barbie. Okay, let's see how we did. I'm a little nervous. It looks good! All right. We did that. Look at that. It's pretty. All right, bustier. The bustier is bustiering. And once I get my stuffers in, she's going to be even prettier. But that is the hardest part. Now we just got to put the skirt together. So yeah, let's jump back and put the skirt together. Be right back. All right, time to do the skirt. Now, I darted a lot of it off camera, so I'm going to dart one for you guys. Everyone's favorite thing to do when you start sewing is darting, I know. I am not the best at it. I will openly admit to that. Some of my darts are a little suspicious, but you know, that's just part of sewing. You learn to just accept the inevitable. Some things are just out of your control, and you just have to live with that. All right, so I'm just going to try and line that up as much as possible. The sewer's chalk helps a little bit, I've learned. And also, you know, cutting out that space of the dart on your pattern when you're working with a pattern. I never used to do that before. Here's the thing, I used to be really stupid, and I would actually just like cut out the whole pattern, and then not cut that notch out for the dart, where you fold it over and notch it with, like, you know, chalk. I would just cut it out and then guesstimate where the dart went. And then wonder why things didn't actually look how they're supposed to. You know, we all make our mistakes, okay? It's fine. You know, we all grow. We are. And like I said, the overlay is annoying. It is super annoying when it comes to doing darts because you want to make sure it lays up and doesn't start to fold under itself. Okay, so this is a back piece. So let's see. Where the curve is, this curve is where my butt goes, so that part I leave open. This part I attach to the hip. Now we get our big front piece and attach it. It's really simple. Matter of just lining it up. And again, like, it doesn't have to be completely perfect, just enough to cover up, you know, where you put the overlay. So I'm gonna basically like loosely pin this together so I can just do a straight stitch, because I'm probably gonna end up taking it in anyway. I did just eat dinner though, so it probably will fit perfectly. And you might notice like the length and the bottom of this is gonna be inconsistent too. That's because I like to leave it a little longer than usual, so I can just like basically figure it out as I go in the fitting, how short I want to make it. It's always better to go longer because you can always cut it shorter rather than just making it too small. This is super simple. Just pin it together and do a straight stitch. Nothing's fancy. We're just attaching these two to the hips and then leaving the back open because I have an open up zipper, like a jacket zipper, that I'm going to use. It's be super easy to install. This is the part we live for, is actually putting it under the machine and sewing something. Because half the time is all taken up with cutting things out and measuring and doing all the boring stuff. The fun part is feeding it through that machine. Hey, okay, that's a clean seam. Okay. Yes. Again, I'm probably got to take it in, but come on now. Beautiful. Let's do the other side. And yeah, let's do this. Be right back. All right, we are reaching the final stretch of this. Okay, so I just have to attach the skirt to the bodice. And yeah, install a zipper. Now, real talk, I want to start doing this series because I want to like push myself to start sewing more because I've been really reliant on my friend Justin to like make my costumes for me and I want to become more self-sufficient. So yeah, I'm going to start doing more sewing stuff and you guys are coming on this journey with me. So I'm glad you're here. As far as installing a zipper goes, I recommend you watch anyone else. I am not the source for that. So I'll be doing that off camera because that's a stressful situation you do not need to be privy to. It's going to be a lot of swearing and a lot of profanity-laced tirades of me being frustrated. You don't need to see that. I'll get demonetized, okay? So here's the thing. We're going to do this right now. We're going to connect these two together. Super simple. Just a simple straight stitch to connect it. And then I install the zipper. And the dress is pretty much functional. We just got to attach the tool, which just came in the last hour. I Amazoned a couple of tutus that we're going to layer up and put at the bottom to create that fabulous mermaid gown like that. It's going to be super fun. So let's get these connected. And let's just let her rip. Make sure it's on straight stitch. Cool. So far, so good. It looks like all the overlay got caught, which is good. Yes, no holes. All right, we can put the zipper in. All right, so cool. Let's put the zipper in and I'll be right back. All right, welcome back. We are in the home stretch here, okay? I have the dress all sewn up. Look at it. The classical strapless, backless little black dress. I whipped in a zip, zip, zip. I'm not splitting it up to the hip, hip, hip though, okay? But it does have a release back because that's something I really like about these little like jacket zippers is having the release back. So it also gives us a stopping point of where the tool is going to end. If you look at the old school Barbie dress, it actually has a release back in the back as well. So that's what we're going to do. It also makes it more fun and vintage and 60s, more like a showgirl dress you could just tear away. I like dresses I can easily take off because this is probably going to be a meet and greet dress once everything's said and done. So we're going to set her to the side. Well, actually, no, we're not. We're going to take her up and we are going to lay her out like this to get a preview of how it could look. I have here a tulle tutu. Now, I could have easily gathered a bunch of tulle. I just didn't have time to run to the fabric store. Plus, I say easily, but gathering tulle, even with like a gathering foot, takes forever. And like half the time the gathering foot I feel like doesn't even work and I end up like going halfway through the bolt and I'm just like hand feeding it like an asshole trying to get it to go through. Yeah, it's a lot. It's just get the tutu, okay? So that's what we're doing. Let me lay the tutu out here so you can see a little preview of what the final result could be. Like, look at that. It's getting pretty close. Yes. And I have here a little rose I bought from Walmart. Just rip the bulb off. Just easy like that. Set rose right there. It's there. Like, come on now. The little flash of color pink scarf. And I think I have the beads around here. She's gonna be super cute, okay? Like, I'm super excited about this. You guys don't even know. Without further ado, let's start cutting up this tulle. So, what I'm going to do here is try and find where the stitch line is. Here it is. And just do my best to separate these so I don't cut the tulle up too much where it like pieces apart. I'm just going to cut it up. And voila, you have tulle on a strip that you can sew. And I even bought a second one that I could cut up and add to it to like, you know, basically piece it together to make one big long piece of tulle. And we're just going to sew that to the bottom of the dress with a straight stitch. Super simple, super easy. And yeah, this dress will be done just like that. So I am going to sew that on and we'll be back with the final result. Yes.
And welcome back. This is our final result. This is the Solo in the Spotlight, released in 1961 by Mattel. Oh my God, I'm so glad I got to bring this dress to life. It is honestly my absolute favorite vintage Barbie fashion. If there's another fashion you guys want to see, be sure and let me know down below. I'm always open for any ideas you guys have. I was thinking of doing the Silk and Flame next, because I love that dress too. Let me know down below. But she is a singing siren ready to sing her ooby dooby doos to the man of her dreams. Be sure and like, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, bye. Click here and see my vlog on the road, or see me style a wig for the gigs, girl. Come on, click it, you know you want to. If you don't click it, I'll put you back in your Barbie box. So click it.